Raj, following you is a tough act.
Okay.
But on the other hand, with so many threads touched upon, the question does beg itself. And I'm going to now quiz you more as an entrepreneur than as an industry leader who had this very interesting chat.
Sure. So before we open it to the audience, you want to put me on the spotlight?
Absolutely. Since you had the rare opportunity to put 3 thought leaders on the spotlight, I think you deserve it, Raj. Okay. So my question is, the recurring theme in all the conversations was about cross-disciplinary angle and multiple streams, multiple teams working together. I know that, for instance, you have your own current venture. You're in a very different space. Practically, how does it translate? If you're an entrepreneur booting up, and typically what happens is in most of these startups, it's 1 or 2 people with deep knowledge and a deep passion to do something. But if truly breakthrough innovation has to happen, there has to be cross-fertilization. How can you, as a leader who wants to start up a truly innovative company, how can you make that happen practically?
I'm glad that you asked me this question, because this is precisely the way that we conceive this venture. My background, the current company that I run is in the area of, it's actually a large network of, it's a system and a very, very large network of television channels across the country. We have built a platform which connects about 300 live television channels on a 24/7 basis. And from a central platform, we do control the advertising and content on these channels across the country. Now, this is what we do. But to come to this point, now, I was a semiconductor man, and to a large extent also, a technology exposure of various kinds. But to my mind, it was very clear that technology is only an enabler. Okay? We would need to really come across and find out the gap, the real problem which is facing, and which is large problem. A problem which is really large in size and has the potential to scale large. Now, for that, technology is a journey, but it's at the end, it's only an enabler. Finally, the field that we have chosen to work on media, and we believe that media has a very, very strong role to transform the society, especially in the manner that we want to conceive this. Now, in this, we really had to go cross-discipline, because how does the media industry work? Okay, is not, unless you have some, we all can talk semiconductor, semicon language, just we get up from the bed. But to talk about the media lingo, what are the things that really are of concern to the people who consume media, people who create media, people, and how does the revenue chain follow, is an entirely different thing. So we had to create a marriage of technology, so that technology can really go about creating the right solution. And hence, in the team, we had to have people who are hardcore media folks, okay, who did not know technology a bit. Technology guys did not know media a bit. And on top of it, we were trying to create a revenue model around marketing. So we had to have people who understood how a marketer thinks. Okay? So bringing this together is where, television was one of the largest mediums in terms of the overall consumption, overall, advertising spend, or the size of the industry. So we considered it right that here is a large problem which we can solve and become a leader, because this is an industry that was starved of technology. If we created that technology piece and understood right what the industry needed, we have the potential to become a leader in the space and enjoy the fruits of it for a sufficiently long time. And as we are still in the journey, but we have been able to create sufficient intellectual property in the space. We've been able to create a market leadership in the space, and hope we can continue forward. But creating anything like this You always learn from mistakes. Okay? What you do today is, you have to keep on doing course corrections, and which is what we have had to do. Maybe it was a single discipline, we would have made less mistakes. When it becomes cross-functional, it becomes more complex, more mistakes, but the golden side of it is that you begin to enjoy a leadership which would not have been possible otherwise.
Sure. And the second question I have, and I'm going to open it up, with the permission of the audience, I'm going to take one shot at asking a question to the entire panel before I open it up. But when you start articulating these very large problems, and they must be sufficiently large so that it motivates a large number of people to come up behind it. The big challenge that happens, I mean, corporations face it all the time, but they have, there's this often said statement that you can't put a Six Sigma process to innovation. Having said that, especially when you do it at the level of a state, when you define these very large programs, how can you check two things? One, are you defining the problem right? Two, are you progressing right? So maybe Dr. Kurion, you want to start off with that, and then we'll run it with everyone else.
Very good and challenging question. And of course, for us and the little experience that we have is to be consulted, to consult with different community, a little bit what I said at the beginning, so different group, and then bring these group together to brainstorm, and we do it, we repeat the exercise a few times, and we hope that way we get it right. But we also need to be committed for the long run. So it cannot be like we'll do that for 2-3 years and then move on to something else. And that's a bit of a challenge, or it is a challenge in government, because often you like to try different things. And we have election coming up. We have one in Canada as well. So then we want to start something new every time that you have a new group in power. And in the kind of big challenge that we are tackling, like climate change and aging of a society, we need to be there for the long run. So having a commitment, multi-year commitment, and then I think you are very infectious with your energy. The energy, the bias that I have for me, you need mentor like you, but the one that will do it are the kids. They are the student, and we have to train them a bit differently, as you said. They need to know and to be expert in their field, but they need also to be exposed to other fields, so they start to see the fun behind that, and then they say, oh yeah, that's what I want to do in the future. Maybe knowing music and knowing engineering, and then you put two together, and then you have a new sound. Right.
See, across disciplines when you work, it brings a very different kind of synergy, right? It's not just about knowing what the other person knows. It's more about the thought process that the other field employs, and that is what is very different across disciplines. For example, you think about chemistry or life sciences, right? There is so much of work in those areas which are more like journalistic. You are Alice in the Wonderland. You see this thing, that's what nanoscience is today. We are at this stage where our eyes have popped open. Oh God, look at this world, which we had never seen before. There is so much stuff here. So I'm reporting. I see this, I see this, I see that, I see that. And all of it is exciting. Physicists don't see that way. Physicists say, okay, if you see that, what is the one theme that is running across all of them, right? A mathematician sees it differently, right? So it is the thought processes of different disciplines that is more exciting. And a little bit of training of that is what gives you this capacity to think laterally, right? So that's what you want to bring in, right? I just want to mention one thing. When you mentioned Six Sigma, something came to my mind. We in industry, we have harped on Six Sigma so much, right? Six Sigma is almost a religion, right? the most wonderful piece of technology ever made, right, is what is sitting here, human beings. Not one part, not a single thing in a human being's construction meets Six Sigma requirement. Not a single thing. At the cell level, how the production of proteins take place, nothing. And yet, this wonderful machine works incredibly, right? So you think that fault-tolerant design is a very different paradigm from what we practice, right? There is so much to learn there. Yeah? So, just to give you a different twist to what you were talking about.
So Raj, as the chairman of a very innovative company, I have a very simple question to ask you from what both these learned gentlemen said. How will you explain controlled chaos to your CFO and to your board?
Okay. Well, controlled chaos is something that I believe that chaos is a must. Okay? Chaos is a must, and in fact, the value system that we have articulated for our enterprise really talks about chaos.
And generically in a large enterprise, because you have that experience.
Yes, in a large enterprise, in a large enterprise, you have got to, there are a lot of discipline boundaries that will come in, and even if we do grow large, perhaps we'll have to go through the same transformation journey. But in a small enterprise, the real essence is the chaos. Okay? Is the interchange of ideas. Okay? But yet, at the same point of time, controlled chaos, as you said, is what needs to be. Otherwise, startup will really go all possible directions, like a small child playing all possible ways. But so that's where some of the experienced guys with less hair on their head need to play that role on bringing that control, bringing a pattern to the whole play. But it is important to have that chaos, okay? And really enjoy that chaos and see patterns within that, figure out that are we really going right or wrong, and then steer the ship correct.